Every day, someone in the United States has a stroke every 40 seconds. Even more frightening, thousands of others experience a TIA, a transient ischemic attack, without realizing it's a red warning sign that a real stroke may be just around the corner. A TIA comes quietly. No pain, no collapse, no loss of consciousness, just a brief numbness in the hand, a moment of slurred speech, or a few minutes of blurred vision as if looking through fog. Because it feels so mild, most people, especially women over 50, ignore it. They think it's age, fatigue, or just a poor night's sleep. But in reality, according to the American Stroke Association, 1 in 3 people who experience a TIA will suffer a stroke within a year if left untreated. And the risk for women after menopause is even higher due to hormonal changes and silent rises in blood pressure and cholesterol. Let me tell you a true story. Mary, 62, living in New York, was making breakfast for her husband as usual. As she poured coffee, her left hand suddenly stiffened and the cup slipped from her grip, crashing to the floor. Just minutes later, everything seemed normal again. Relieved, Mary told herself, "Probably just slept wrong last night." She cleaned up and carried on as if nothing had happened. But the truth was different. That moment was a TIA. A few days later, Mary was rushed to the hospital with a stroke. Her doctor explained that the moment she dropped the cup was the golden chance to prevent tragedy, but she missed it. You see, a TIA is like a smoke alarm blaring for a brief moment in your home. The alarm rings, then falls silent. If you don't act, the fire may ignite at any time. Sadly, many women still mistake these warning signs for everyday issues. A little fatigue, a dizzy spell, a fleeting moment of confusion. But in an instant, life can change completely. You could lose your speech, your smile, or the independence you've worked so hard to preserve. I have heard too many patients and their families cry out in regret, "If only I had known sooner. If only I hadn't ignored that small sign." But you are different. You are here, listening, and you have the chance to know, to recognize, and to act in time. After hearing Mary's story, you might be wondering, so what exactly is a TIA, and how is it different from a real stroke? TIA stands for transient ischemic attack, often called a mini-stroke. Simply put, it happens when blood flow to the brain is temporarily blocked, usually by a tiny blood clot or a piece of plaque in the blood vessel. For a few minutes, sometimes even up to a few hours, the brain doesn't get enough oxygen and nutrients. As a result, you might feel weakness or numbness in an arm or leg, have trouble speaking, blurred vision or dizziness. Then, when the clot dissolves or moves away, blood flow returns, the symptoms disappear, and you feel back to normal. But this temporary nature is what makes a TIA so dangerous. You think everything is fine, when in reality your brain just sounded a red alarm. And according to the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, NIH, up to 20% of patients will suffer a full stroke within 90 days of a TIA. For women over 50, the risk is even greater. Menopause brings many changes: rising blood pressure, increased bad cholesterol, and blood vessels that lose elasticity. These factors make it easier for tiny vessels in the brain to become blocked, even if only for a few minutes. In the next part, I'll show you the specific warning signs of a TIA so you can recognize them the moment they appear. Some are very clear, while others are subtle and often mistaken for aging or ordinary fatigue. To begin this journey toward better health, let's start with the most obvious yet most easily overlooked sign: sudden numbness or weakness on one side of the body. Have you ever felt your arms suddenly become heavy, hard to lift, or your leg feel frozen, not responding? That's not just muscle fatigue or a bad sleeping position. It could be the very first sign of the TIA. When blood flow to the brain is temporarily blocked, the area that controls movement loses its signal, causing sudden weakness in the arm, leg, or even one side of the face. The key detail? This usually affects only one side, and it happens suddenly, within seconds or minutes, without warning. You might notice a coffee cup slipping from your hand, a staggering step, or a smile that suddenly looks uneven. Some people describe it as if the body splits in half, one side strong, the other powerless. The danger is that this weakness may last only a few minutes and then vanish. That's why many brush it off, thinking just tired or just age. But according to Harvard Medical School, over 80% of patients who go on to have a full stroke experienced weakness in one arm or leg within the 30 minutes beforehand. They simply missed their golden chance to prevent disaster. There's a simple test you can try at home called the arm test. Raise both arms straight in front of you at shoulder level and hold for 10 seconds. If one arm drifts downward, feels weaker, or can't match the other, treat it as an urgent brain signal. Sign 2. Speech problems or slurred speech. One of the most common and recognizable signs of TIA is sudden difficulty speaking. The person may be fully awake and alert, but when they open their mouth, they can't form words normally. This happens because when blood flow to the brain is disrupted, the area responsible for language, usually in the left hemisphere, no longer receives enough oxygen. Just a few minutes without oxygen can disrupt the ability to form sounds, organize words, and express thoughts. It often appears suddenly, with speech that sounds slurred or garbled, like someone who has been drinking. Words may come out slowly, with stumbling even on simple phrases. Sentences may become jumbled or make no sense. Sometimes the person knows exactly what they want to say, but simply can't get the words out. The danger is that many patients don't notice the problem themselves. They believe they're speaking normally, while others hear the difference clearly. That's why family and friends play a critical role in spotting it early. According to the American Stroke Association, nearly 40% of stroke patients experience speech problems within the first hour, but only about 12% recognize it themselves. That means survival often depends entirely on those nearby. A simple test: ask the person to repeat a short sentence, such as, "The sky is blue today." If the words come out slurred, incorrect, or distorted, it's a red warning. Remember, this is not just fatigue or stress. When speech suddenly becomes difficult, it's the brain crying for help. Every minute of delay means millions of brain cells are dying. Don't ever ignore this, because it could be the warning bell for a major stroke about to strike. Sign 3. Temporary vision loss. Have you ever experienced one eye suddenly going dark, as if a curtain dropped over it, only for your vision to return after a few minutes? If so, don't dismiss it. That may be a sign of TIA. When blood flow to the brain is blocked, especially to the retina or the area controlling vision, the eye temporarily loses sight. This is known as amaurosis fugax, or transient blindness. Patients often describe it as looking through fog, a black shadow, or seeing only half the world in front of them. The important detail: this comes on suddenly, without warning. It may affect one eye or both, and usually lasts seconds to minutes before returning to normal. Because it clears so quickly, many people dismiss it as eye strain, lighting, or aging. But according to Mayo Clinic and the American Stroke Association, about 20% of stroke patients had a temporary vision loss episode beforehand, and most never sought medical help in time. Remember, your eyes aren't just the windows to the soul. They're mirrors of your brain's blood vessel health. When the world in front of you suddenly goes dark, that may be your brain's cry for help. If one day your vision suddenly narrows or disappears, don't wait for it to pass. Act immediately. Vision may return, but your brain will not wait. Sign number 4, sudden dizziness or loss of balance. After age 60, it's common to feel a little lightheaded when standing too quickly or occasionally off balance. Many assume it's low blood pressure, side effects of medicine, or just getting older. But if dizziness strikes suddenly, severely, and without explanation, you need to take it seriously. TIA can occur when blood flow to the cerebellum, the part of the brain that controls balance and coordination, is disrupted. The result? The body suddenly loses stability. A person may feel the room spinning even while sitting still, pulled to one side while walking, or staggering as if drunk. These episodes often come with nausea, vomiting, or inability to stand steadily. Without recognizing the cause, the risks of falling, fractures, or serious injury, already major concerns in older adults, rise sharply. Ask yourself, did the dizziness come on suddenly and strongly? Did you struggle to stand, walk straight, or feel pulled sideways? Was it accompanied by a weakness, slurred speech, or blurred vision? If the answer is yes, treat it as a red warning. This isn't just an ordinary imbalance, it may be the brain's urgent call telling you a blood vessel is blocked. Don't wait for the dizziness to pass. See it as your reason to act right away. A person may be smiling or talking normally when one side of the mouth droops or one eye won't close completely. This happens because when a small blood vessel in the brain is blocked, the area controlling facial muscles loses connection. Within minutes, one side of the face weakens noticeably, leading to a crooked smile, a cheek that doesn't move while speaking, or an eyelid that droops. The frightening part is that patients often feel nothing unusual. They think they're smiling or speaking normally, but others can see the difference right away. That's why observation by loved ones is crucial. The simplest test? Ask the person to smile in front of a mirror. If the smile is uneven and one side of the mouth doesn't lift, that's an emergency warning. Don't blame this change on dentures, fatigue, or sleeping on one side. In this case, time truly is the brain. Every minute means millions of brain cells dying, never to return. If you notice your own face, or that of a loved one, suddenly looks different, treat it as the brain's SOS and act immediately. Sign 6. Sudden, severe headache. We've all had headaches, from stress, lack of sleep, or weather changes. But there's one type of headache you should never ignore. A sudden, intense pain unlike any headache you've ever felt before. This can be a sign of TIA, or even a full stroke. According to Cleveland Clinic, stroke-related headaches are often described as a thunderclap, reaching maximum intensity within seconds. It can feel like your head is about to explode, or as if struck with a heavy object, radiating from the back of the neck to the forehead, or from the temple across one side of the head. The difference? Ordinary headaches build gradually and may ease with rest. A stroke-related headache strikes suddenly, severely, and often comes with other symptoms like blurred vision, slurred speech, confusion, or numbness. The danger is that many mistake this for a migraine or stress headache. They take painkillers, lie down, and wait, while brain cells are quietly dying. Remember, if you suddenly experience the worst headache of your life, especially if it comes with neurological symptoms, treat it as a medical emergency. Don't wait for it to pass. When the brain cries out with severe pain, that's the moment it needs you to act immediately. Sign 7. Difficulty swallowing. Have you ever been eating or drinking normally and suddenly felt like swallowing became difficult, as if something was stuck in your throat? Or perhaps water slipped into your airway, making you cough and choke?
If so, pay close attention. This may be an early warning sign of a TIA. Swallowing may seem simple, but in reality, it's a highly complex process. Dozens of muscles and many nerves must work together in perfect coordination within a fraction of a second.
When blood flow to the brain is interrupted, the swallowing center loses its signal, causing food or liquid to go down the wrong path. The person may experience difficulty swallowing even saliva, a lump-like sensation in the throat, frequent choking or coughing during meals, or drooling because swallowing no longer works properly. The danger is not just discomfort. This problem also raises the risk of aspiration and pneumonia, a potentially life-threatening complication in older adults. Remember, if you suddenly find it hard to swallow, even for just a few minutes, especially if it comes with slurred speech, weakness, or blurred vision, that is your brain sending an urgent warning. Don't wait to see if it goes away. Treat it as a red alert sign and act immediately. Because when the brain can no longer control such a basic reflex as swallowing, the risk of a full-blown stroke is already very near. Sign 8. Numbness or tingling sensation. You've probably felt your leg fall asleep after sitting too long, or your hand goes numb from leaning on it. Normally, once you move around a bit, the sensation fades. But if numbness comes on suddenly, without any clear reason, and only affects one side of the body, you need to be very cautious. A TIA interrupts blood flow to the part of the brain responsible for sensation. When that happens, signals from the skin, muscles, and nerves don't fully reach the brain, leaving you with feelings such as tingling like ants crawling under the skin, a pins and needles or mild electric shock in the arm or leg, or loss of the ability to feel hot versus cold, light versus heavy on one side of the body. The key difference? TIA-related numbness doesn't go away when you change position. It may start in the fingers or toes, then spread up the arm or leg. It often comes with muscle weakness or clumsiness when trying to grip objects. According to the National Institutes of Health, NIH, numbness or tingling is one of the earliest yet most overlooked signs of a TIA. Many mistake it for muscle fatigue, arthritis, or simply aging, but in reality, it's your brain briefly starved of blood, and it may mean a full stroke is very close. Sign 9. Temporary memory loss. Every now and then, forgetting your keys or the name of an old acquaintance is a normal part of life after 60. But if one day you suddenly forget where you are, fail to recognize family members right in front of you, or keep asking the same question over and over within just a few minutes, that is no longer just aging. When the brain doesn't get enough blood flow, especially in the temporal lobe, the area that controls memory, short-term memory becomes disrupted. A person may forget events that just happened, lose their way home even on familiar streets, stop in the middle of a task and forget what they were doing, or repeat the same question or statement again and again after only a few minutes. The frightening part is that during these episodes, the person often has no awareness that anything is wrong. They feel completely normal, while those around them clearly notice the change. Unlike dementia, which develops gradually over years, a TIA causes sudden, short-term memory loss that recovers quickly. But because it passes so fast, many people dismiss it, and that's when the risk of a full-blown stroke looms dangerously close. And the final sign: fainting or temporary loss of consciousness. Fainting is sometimes brushed off as nothing serious, caused by fatigue, lack of sleep, or low blood pressure. But for people over 60, sudden fainting can be one of the most dangerous warning signs of a TIA. A TIA occurs when blood flow to the brain is disrupted, especially in the brainstem, the area that controls consciousness and vital functions. When this happens, a person may suddenly feel dizzy or lightheaded, experience sudden blackout vision, lose the strength to stay upright and collapse, or even lose consciousness for a few seconds to a few minutes before waking up again.
Unlike fainting from dehydration or standing up too quickly, fainting related to a TIA has no clear warning. It strikes suddenly, often with severe dizziness, blurred vision, or weakness on one side of the body. The real danger is that many people, once they wake up, dismiss it by thinking, it's just a faint spell, I'll be fine after some rest. But the truth is, it could be the only warning before a severe, life-altering stroke. Did you know that while both men and women can experience TIAs, women over 50 face even greater risks? The reason lies in the silent changes that happen in the body after menopause, a stage that many women tend to underestimate. After age 50, estrogen, the hormone that helps protect blood vessels, drops rapidly. Estrogen keeps the vessel walls flexible and less prone to plaque buildup. When that protection fades, arteries become stiffer and narrower, creating the perfect ground for blood clots to form. On top of that, this stage of life often brings other health changes. Blood pressure rises silently without obvious symptoms. Bad cholesterol, LDL, builds up. Arteries narrow, and the risks of type 2 diabetes and belly fat increase, all of which weaken the blood vessels even more. In fact, according to the American Heart Association, women have a higher risk of TIA and stroke than men of the same age, especially during the 10 years after menopause. What's even more concerning is that women's symptoms are often quieter and more vague, just a little fatigue, a headache, or tingling in the hands.
Because of this, many miss their golden window for prevention. Lifestyle habits also play a role. Less physical activity, diets high in sugar and low in fiber, and chronic stress. When these factors combine with hormonal changes, the risk of TIA nearly doubles. That's why, if you're a woman over 50, you need to be extra cautious. Don't brush off small warning signs, and don't reassure yourself by saying, it's just age. Instead, be proactive. Get regular checkups, monitor your blood pressure, and pay close attention to unusual changes in your body. For women, a TIA is not just a minor event. It's often the only chance to stop a major stroke that could steal your smile, your voice, and the independence you've worked so hard to keep. Knowing the signs of TIA is the first step, but more importantly, you need to know what to do immediately to protect your brain and prevent a real stroke. 1. Call emergency services right away if you suspect a TIA. 2. Check and control your blood pressure daily. 3. Manage blood sugar and cholesterol. 4. Stay physically active every day. 5. Quit smoking and limit alcohol. 6. Get regular health checkups. The key point is this. Don't wait for your body to cry out with a TIA. Take action today. Every small step you take is like a brick, building a strong wall to protect your brain and your future. We've now gone through the essentials: what a TIA is, the 10 warning signs, and the steps for prevention. What I want you to remember is not the medical details, but one simple truth. A TIA is never just a small thing. It's the final warning before the brain falls into a full stroke. If you recognize the signs early and act fast, you can preserve your smile, your speech, your memory, and the independence you've cherished all your life. But if you ignore them, even 1 minute of hesitation could mean a lifetime of dependence. According to the American Heart Association, just by changing a few habits, managing blood pressure, staying active every day, and eating wisely, you can cut your stroke risk by up to 70%. That number is more than a statistic. It's your opportunity to take back years of healthier, stronger living. So please, share this video with your loved ones and friends, especially women over 50. Who knows? One reminder today could save a life tomorrow. If you found this helpful, Hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss other important health insights. And I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below because your story could help hundreds of others recognize the signs in time. You deserve to live healthy, sharp, and free. And every small action you take today is a priceless gift for your future and for the family that loves you.